Let me tell you something. 3 months from now, I'll be standing in my driveway, coffee in hand, watching Celeste Vandenberg get hauled off in handcuffs. Her pristine white Mercedes hoisted onto an evidence trailer in front of half the neighborhood, right out of that premium visitor parking spot she tried to steal from me on day one. Yeah, that spot. It's legally mine now, along with something else she never saw coming. A check for $4 million. And if you think I'm exaggerating, just wait. This ride started 87 days earlier with me jet-lagged and sunburned, lugging my patched-up backpack off a ride share after 8 months traveling Southeast Asia, only to have this queen bee call 911 on me for, I guess, existing within sight of her manicured lawn. That afternoon was thick and sticky, one of those August days where the air hits you like a sledgehammer after you've spent a year eating street food, dodging motorbikes, and losing track of what day it is. I'm dragging my backpack still crusted with Cambodian dust down Maple Grove Lane, headed for the cottage my Uncle Darren left me, and every single house looks like it was cloned in a lab. I swear, after months of wild open chaos, coming home to Millbrook Heights felt like stepping straight into the Truman Show. You ever come back from somewhere wild and wonder if you even belong anymore? Uncle Darren was the only person in my family who really got me. Won $18 million in the lottery, bought this lakeside place, then dropped dead 6 months later, leaving it all to me. Because, and I quote, Kieran's the only one who appreciates what matters. That first day I was half delirious with jet lag, just wanting a shower and some air conditioning, when I heard this sharp crunch of gravel behind me like someone marching into battle. I turn around, and there's Celeste looking like she'd been engineered by a suburban overlord, bleach blonde hair, white tennis outfit, sunglasses worth more than my travel budget, and a voice tuned to expect immediate compliance. "Excuse me," she snaps, all authority. "I'm Celeste Vandenberg, president of the Millbrook Heights Homeowners Association. We need to discuss your temporary residency situation immediately." You know that feeling when you realize you're about to have your whole afternoon ruined by a power trip? 8 months of dodging scams and border guards had taught me a few things, so I tried to play it nice. "Hey, I'm Kieran. This is my place. I just got back permanently." She gives me a smile with all the warmth of a bounced check and rattles off something about Section 4.7 Board Approval Residential Suitability Assessments, blah, blah, blah. Official enough to scare someone who'd never talked their way past corrupt police in Saigon. But I'd survive much worse. "You got paperwork for that?" I asked, as polite as I could manage, because the lawyer who handled the transfer didn't mention any restrictions. Wrong move. That smile flickers. She whips out her phone, and I swear she calls 911 right there, reporting a trespassing code violation. Over me. The legal owner, standing on my own porch. 15 minutes later, Officer Miranda Torres rolls up looking so tired you'd think she'd seen this act 100 times before. Celeste launches into her monologue, painting me as some international criminal, my backpack as evidence of God knows what, and the officer just nods until I hand over my deed, my insurance papers, and the contact for my lawyer. You could see the gears turning. Finally, Torres gives Celeste that look everyone knows the one and says, "Property inheritance doesn't require HOA approval. This is a civil matter, not criminal." Celeste's face went through every shade of denial, but all she could do was sputter about community compatibility while the officer wished us both luck and drove off. Now here's where it gets good. As Celeste stalks back toward her Mercedes parked in the visitor spot, of course I notice something, a drift of old leaves around the tires, like that car hasn't moved in weeks. And visitor parking's supposed to be, for visitors. But it's her personal throne. The hypocrisy nearly knocked me over. I'm still processing all this when my new neighbor Daphne walks up with 2 cups of coffee and the energy of someone who just watched a live car crash. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she says, apologizing for Celeste before I even have time to rant. Daphne's everything. Celeste isn't warm, genuine fingers stained with paint, laughs easy. She tells me how last year Celeste fined the Hendersons $400 for having the wrong shade of red on a garden gnome, or how Mrs. Patterson got cited for excessive wind chime 17 when the max is Celeste's imaginary number 15. While we chat, I notice an older guy 3 doors down, Russ, sitting on his porch, sipping tea, observing everything like he's seen it all before. Turns out Russ has seen it all. After Daphne leaves, I go introduce myself, and his garage is stacked with blueprints, survey maps, even architectural plans, more like a city planner's lair than a retiree's hobby. He grins and leans back. That Mercedes parked in visitor spot number 1 for 2 years straight. The rule's 24 hours max. She's been breaking the very code she enforces, 17,000 hours and counting. But enforcement, of course, only applies to everyone else. Russ has the original HOA documents, and as he flips through them, the puzzle starts coming together. Sometime in 2021, Celeste slipped in a whole new set of covenants, wordy, vague legalese that let her interpret the rules however she pleased. The real kicker: she gave herself the power to force property transfers for community enhancement, the kind of language that means if I want your lot, I'll find a way to take it. That explains why 4 families have left in the last 3 years, always after a mysterious fire, electrical fault, or maintenance violation. All prime real estate on the lake. And wouldn't you know it, just as Russ and I are putting the pieces together, I get an email, my first HOA fine, $200 for outdoor storage violation. My crime. Leaving my backpack on the porch for 47 minutes. Russ just shakes his head. Section 8.4 is about RVs, not backpacks. He shows me a binder of every underhanded move Celeste's ever made, systematic harassment, fraudulent citations, and all designed to push people out and sell to a developer on the cheap. That night, as I sit on the dock, Uncle Darren left me, I realize I'm in the crosshairs, not just of a busybody, but of someone running a full-blown racket. But if Southeast Asia taught me anything, it's how to survive and fight back. First step: document everything, find allies, and never, ever back down. I send off emails to my lawyer, to the city, to the state HOA ombudsman, and set up coffee with Daphne because I know I'm going to need backup. The very next morning, things escalate fast. Daphne shows up with a fat folder, photos, timelines, insurance reports, and a play-by-play of how Celeste systematically destroyed each family that got in her way. Every time the same shady local risk assessment adjuster, the same pressure tactics, and every sale funneled through a company where surprise Celeste is listed as the community relations coordinator. Dr. Kim's deck collapsed, the Henderson fire, Kowalski's electrical accident, all engineered for maximum pain, minimum liability. But now I've got proof. And suddenly someone drops a manila envelope in my mailbox, original insurance docs, adjuster signatures, photos. Anonymous, but clearly someone wants. Celeste stopped. I'm poring over these when I overhear Celeste pacing her yard and shouting into her phone. The Ashworth situation needs to be resolved if we can't make a safety issue stick. We move to phase 2. That's all I need to hear. She's actively plotting my downfall, and she's got partners. I'm about to confront her when Russ bursts in. We need to talk about your uncle and about why his heart attack didn't fit his history. He shows me a conference photo, Celeste, a group of developers, and right there, Uncle Darren. Except Darren wasn't just a lucky lottery winner, he was a federal investigator undercover building a case against exactly this kind of property fraud. The lottery was his cover, his death. Suddenly, it's not so random. Russ, it turns out, is a retired fire marshal working with the feds to document every accidental fire or structural failure Celeste orchestrated. We're barely done piecing this together when a window shatters on Lakeview Drive. Dr. Kim's old place, now empty, is on fire. Russ grabs a fire extinguisher. I call 911, and suddenly the whole street's lit up with emergency vehicles and a black SUV that screams federal agent. Enter Special Agent Rebecca Thorne, FBI. She's been on Celeste's case since Darren's death, quietly surveilling, gathering evidence, waiting for her to slip. As the fire's put out, Thorne lays it out. Celeste is at the center of a 19-person ring, insurance adjusters, contractors, even medical professionals, all tied to dozens of forced sales. millions in stolen equity, and at least 3 suspicious deaths. The fire. A desperate move to destroy evidence, except the feds were ready and now have probable cause to arrest Celeste and her crew. Right there in broad daylight, Celeste gets cuffed, still squawking about community standards, while Agent Thorne reads off the charges: insurance fraud, conspiracy to commit arson, federal homicide investigation. And for once, the whole neighborhood sees the truth. The aftermath. It's almost beautiful. Federal agents seize Celeste's assets, including that visitor parking spot and her white Mercedes, both bought with stolen HOA funds. Every property fraudulently acquired gets returned to the rightful owners. Dr. Kim moves back the Kowalskis, buy a new place nearby, and Mrs. Patterson sets up a whole army of garden gnomes, this time with zero fear. Russ is finally able to relax. And me. That parking spot's officially on my deed, a permanent reminder that some victories are as sweet as they are poetic. The new HOA president, Dr. Kim, unanimously elected. Her first act: revert all the covenants back to the original, strip out Celeste's amendments, and set up a legal fund for anyone who ever feels bullied again. Millbrook Heights finally becomes the community Uncle Darren hoped it would be, the kind of place where people watch out for each other instead of tearing each other down. 6 months later, Agent Thorne calls with the news: Celeste gets 18 years, no parole for 12, her entire ring locked away for good, and the medical examiner confirms Uncle Darren was murdered. Justice, finally. And as we plant a memorial garden on the lot where Celeste's house once stood, I think maybe the real prize wasn't just the property or the parking spot, but proving that when people stand up to bullies, especially the kind hiding behind community, they can actually win. You know, every morning I walk past that parking space, see the bronze plaque we had made in memory of those who stood up to corruption in honor of communities that choose justice over fear. And I wonder, what would you do if your neighborhood was under siege by someone like Celeste? Would you fight back or just try to keep your head down? Let me know in the comments. Where do you draw the line? Ever faced off against a bully in your own backyard? And if you have, was it worth it? If you believe justice is something we build together, or you've got a story of your own, drop it below and join the conversation, because sometimes the parking spot really is worth fighting for, and the right neighbors can make all the difference in the world.